Hello everyone, welcome back to more Terra Mystica. It's still season 38 of the tournament, and we're going to look at the third game of mine to finish, the game in which I chose Cultists as player 2. You can of course refer back to the second video in this playlist to hear more about the faction selection and how I came up with Cultists. But even if you saw that, it's news to you that Mermaids and Engineers were chosen after me. I forget whether I thought those were particularly good. I don't really understand mermaids here. Nothing, okay, late dwellings, I guess. Mermaids like those because they tend to have a lot of shipping by the end of the game. Engineers make a ton of sense, right? They're just generally good if they don't have any color neighbors, and the fourth player doesn't always pick red or green. And in this case they didn't, so engineers seem like pretty good in this position. And this is, as mentioned, my first competitive game as Cultists. Previously I had just played a few games against the AI, and I don't know, sometimes done okay, sometimes done disastrously. But yes, we definitely did not talk about this during faction selection because I didn't know that player 4 was going to be mermaids. So let's talk first, I guess, about where the dwellings went. What order did stuff happen in? All of the 5s and F6 were first, and then the other stuff, huh? So here, here, and here. Yeah, so Darklings went here, I went here, Engineers went here. That makes a lot of sense. Mermaids had to go somewhere. D5 is a good spot for them. And they also picked E4. Engineers followed up with E7. And I took E6, which seems pretty good, right? We've got this nice little triad of desirable cultist squares that are going to have neighbors. And Darklings finished off with E10, planning to stay only in the east, apparently. Yeah, I mean, E5 looks a bit crowded for them, right? With mermaids and cultists. So while they might like to be in the center, it's tough to do so in this game. But when it came to bonus tile selection, it was kind of interesting, I think. Mermaids took the dig, engineers took coins, and I was left with either this, which of course is what I actually took, the worker or the sanctuary scoring and 2 workers, or I could have taken the cult and 4 coins, or like power and ship, or like power and ship scoring, which would be dreadful, or dwelling scoring. I think it's pretty clear that I want this. 2 workers is better than the other bonuses available to me. You're not going to have that many dwellings at the end of round 1, and anyway, you should be working more on resources than points early on. But what I was really, while I was waiting, like after making my bonus tile selection, but before getting to play the first turn of the game, basically just waiting for Darklings, I was struck by the importance of the E5 tile. One might even say the urgency of the E5 tile. Mermaids and I both badly want E5. I could make do without it. I could take like F3 and G2 or something, but it's more digs. And in some particularly nightmarish scenarios, engineers might take both D4 and G2 at some point, and then I'd have a really tough time. I'd have to like bridge to G1 and make a horrible town. So if mermaids get E5, my first town is going to be substantially more difficult. G4 is also sort of important. It's really the only direction this town wants to go is like over here. Pretty natural cultist town with Darklings in the game. It would be a dream, of course, if you could get this, but that basically never happens. If cultists and Darklings are in the game, Darklings will take G5. Especially with engineers, right? F6 is just perfect for them. So really, this is the only way I can go, and this costs 2 digs for Darklings, but that's not that many. There is some risk they might take G4 and block me in. So there's a number of very important hexes that I want to get to. that number being 2. And so when I took this bonus tile, I was very seriously considering, like, okay, note also that the Mermaids took specifically the dig bonus tile, meaning they can threaten E5 quite credibly. I get to go before them, though. So I was very seriously considering a 3-worker dig on my first turn to take E5 before the Mermaids could get there. I thought it might be that important. But I eventually decided that that's a humongous handicap to your economy to do that in round 1. I could just work around that tile if Mermaids grabbed it really fast. I could try to grab one of these red tiles. So the other, let's talk, I guess, a little bit about the overall game plan here, which every faction has to tailor their game plan to the round tiles, right? But I feel like the Cultists even more so, because you don't tend to, like, as Cultists, right, you could use your free cult steps to try to, like, win cult tracks. And towards the end game, that is what you do with them. But in the early game, like, winning a cult track is such a far away thing that it's much more advantageous to use your cult steps to gain income, right? That's true for other factions as well, but Cultists has so many cult steps that you might imagine, hey, maybe I should just try to lock in the 10 of something that might be, you know, unpopular early, and then I have, like, a guaranteed win there. But in general, I believe the way to play Cultist is opportunistically just, like, get as much income bonuses as you can out of your cult steps. And so there is some, like, tailoring how much cult steps you get. Like, for example, you know, you might try to get 8 Earth in round 1, which would be tough for most factions, although not impossible. I've done it as Darklings. But mostly, you just, like, have some fixed number of cult steps coming in, and you allot them to whatever will get you the most income. And so, in that sense, the Cultists are not really choosing what income to get from the cult track, but rather are looking at the cult track as, like, well, this is what my income is going to look like. I'll be getting a bunch of this in round 1, i.e. dig. Then in round 3, a bunch of workers. How do I fit that into the game plan? And so in this game, we have early spades, which Cultists enjoy. Spades are hard to come by and expensive, and if you can spend your resources on other stuff without having to spend them on digs, you'll be happy. And then late game, we just have a ton of workers. Some coins, but Cultists, I don't know. They don't send more priests to the cults than anybody else often. So this is just like an ordinary, you know, you can get like 6 coins out of this, maybe 4. 4 to 8 probably would be normal at this stage. Whereas you're going to get like 10 workers or something from these 2 rounds. And so I decided in this game to try to focus more on my coin economy. Whereas often, you know, we've talked before about how building dwellings increases the size of your economy, but turning dwellings into trading posts, you know, it leaves your economy at a similar size, but kind of diversifies it so that coins are easier to come by. You know, if you're ever, I don't know, it's not strictly true, of course. You know, workers and coins are not directly comparable. Sometimes one worker is worth more than 2 coins. Sometimes it's worth less. But they often have a similar value. So often I try to focus on dwellings and worker income. But here, I predicted getting so much worker income that I wanted to focus more on coin income. And that means having more trading posts just like kind of lying around. Or maybe taking an income, the Fire 1 or something would be another way to accomplish that goal. Although I didn't this game. So the plan is kind of like try to build trading posts. And this kind of led me to make an interesting play in the first round that sort of goes along with, but also is sort of clashing with what I was just saying. So, first of all, worth noting is in the first round, or in the first turn, I where is it? I did actually get 1 leech from Darklings on my first turn, which means that I could have spent 4 power on a dig to take E5 right away. And I don't know. It might have been the right thing to do. Of course, games typically start with like everyone kind of upgrading to temples early. That's a pretty popular, at least for like intermediate level players like me. Everyone kind of rushes for Earth 1. And so I still at this point wasn't sure. Am I going to go for Earth 1 and let the Mermaids have E5? Or like, and I kind of did that by building this trading post. If the Mermaids had really wanted to, they could give up on Earth 1 immediately since they're player 4 and just dig out E5 before I get there. But I was kind of betting that the Mermaids would also be going for a quick temple just in case someone else does something other than take Earth 1, which could happen. And so I was kind of hoping that the Mermaids would build a trading post in round 2. I ended up not following up with a temple here. I in fact grabbed E5, allowing the Mermaids to take Earth 1, which they did. And you can compare this line to the line of taking E5 first, and like, I don't know. There were kind of 3 things I could do, right? I could take E5 right away, or I could go for a temple and take Earth 1. What I did kind of feels like in the middle, where I gave up E5 if Mermaids had wanted it, but I also gave up Earth 1 if Mermaids had wanted it. I'm not so sure that's really the right way to look at things, though. The reason I did this was I was hoping that engineers would upgrade on E7 and let me, and I wanted to have a structure here worth 2 power for a leech instead of just a dwelling, so I'd get a tiny bit more leech by delaying the build until turn 2. And I sort of hoped that the Mermaids would go for the temple anyway. Let me have this square. On the other hand, you could say, like, the possible upside of that is paying 1 VP for 1 power, and the possible downside is I lose E5, so it's a pretty big gamble. It didn't pay off, but also it didn't cost. The engineers didn't upgrade here, so I could have switched the order of these 2 things. But the reason that I felt like I was okay with doing this is because I want to focus my economy for the mid and late game on trading posts. I don't really mind taking Earth 2, the worker income temple. And it also makes it easier for me to secure the current... obviously, I can get to 4 Earth, no problem. But every cult step I don't have to... so everyone gets cult steps for various things, including temples and so on, but the cultists get them for building near neighbors, and the fewer of those cult steps I can spend on Earth, the more I can spend on something else. I'm not going to get 8 Earth this round. In principle, I could, but it would be a big investment, and I don't really want to. So, like, it's also kind of just nice that Earth 2 has 2 Earth on it. That's another thing going for it. So that and the fact that I kind of plan to have a coin-heavy economy later in the game made me think, you know what, taking a worker income tile for the early game so I can kind of turn my economy into what I want it to be without suffering too much, that was fine with me. I was happy to take Earth 2. And if Mermaids had taken E5, I probably would have grabbed Earth 1 and been okay with that too. At least that way I wouldn't have built a dwelling before my Earth 1 came in, right? So, I don't know. But I definitely don't want to commit to Earth 1 before this dwelling, because then the Mermaids have nothing to lose by taking this from me. And someone else might very well take the dig power action and take that from me, and I'll be like really sad. So, I know we're like 15 minutes into the video and I've taken 2 turns, but it'll get faster eventually. So I did grab Earth 2, and that got me up to 4 Earth, which means I can start spending cult steps on air. I gained 2 here, 1 for the dwelling, the dwelling, and 1 for the temple. So my plan was to get to 4 Earth and then 4 air, and then just try to like go as high as I can on fire. Getting to 8 air is just not realistic. After already having invested so much in, well, a moderate amount in Earth. And what do I have left here? I have 5 coins and 3 workers. I bet I built a trading post, right? Over here or something? No, here. Okay. Oh, yes. I was a little bit worried that this might get cut off still. I didn't want to invest in building up this dwelling if the Darklings might take G4 and make it impossible for me to get a town here. And this way I work towards an early town. Yes, because there's Sanctuary scoring in round 3. So if I can make this a Sanctuary and like put a dwelling down here, I'll be in good shape to get an early town. There's no town scoring, so the earlier the better. You can get the resources and reinvest them. So I put the trading post here, and I'm already glad to have Earth 2 because instead of 2 worker income, I have 3, and I'm also getting like coins already, which is great. And a dig. So what did I? Oh, everyone's passed. The Darklings are just finishing up. Okay. So here we go, and you've already seen the answer, of course, but let's think about where we should use this dig that we get. I could use it on F3 or on G4. Right. So G4 is a bit of a tricky situation because if I ever dig this to brown and don't immediately build on it, the Darklings will dig it to black and build on it. Now, in round 2, I'll be going before the Darklings, so it seems safe enough to dig G4 with my Cult Spade and then build there with my turn, right? No, wrong. The Darklings also get a Cult Spade, and they spend theirs after me. So if I dig here, they'll also dig here. So it's a clear choice to dig F3 first. And that's also nice because I want this to be my town, right? It means I kind of have to pass before the Darklings in this round to get G4 with my air spade, but that should be manageable. The only other, like the main other thing I was thinking about at this point was it would be kind of nice, wouldn't it, if the engineers would build F4 before I build F3 so that I can get a cult step from them. And they might be willing to do that. They might be happy to, like, they might try on purpose to do that to get the leech from me. But what I'm going to do with this round is, like, I don't know, send a priest somewhere. Probably not air. Probably fire, right? Yes. Because I'm not planning to get any higher than 4 air. And sending a priest to fire will help me get started on the fire income. And I imagine I'll build a dwelling here and a trading post somewhere. It looks like here. Could build it here, and then the sanctuary finishes the town. I know I didn't do that. I'm not yet sure whether I can like justify why that is. Like, basically, I guess at some point in this game, I realized like, okay, everyone else has Earth 1, right? I need to make up for my deficit in dwelling points by building a big economy. And a big economy is kind of one that builds 3 towns. And so I was kind of planning, okay, when I build my sanctuary, it's going to be fire 2 to make towns with only 6 instead of 7 power. And that's quite convenient because this round is a fire income round as well, right? So it'll also give me a worker. That's another reason to choose that as my second favorite tile. So that's why I don't want the trading post here. I want it here. And as long as I can get out of the round fast enough, I'll still be able to build this before Darklings get there. Plus, for what it's worth, they'll be busy with their Sanctuary in round 3 and might not have any workers to build G4 anyway. So, I don't know what order I did these things in. Probably Priest first, then Trading Post, then Dwelling. Priest. And the Engineers upgraded here. Oh. Ooh. What's that all about? Oh, I forgot to look at the bonus tile I got. I got the Spade bonus tile. I see. This is how I resolved the G4 problem. I just said, oh yeah, I remember this round. This was pretty cool, actually. I was like, okay, well, Cult Spades on G4 are going to be a problem because the Darklings aren't even going to take that many actions. Oh, wow, maybe they are. I don't know. But anyway, using a Cult Spade on G4 is hard, and I don't really have anywhere else I want to spend a spade, so let's spend it on G4. And, did I even get a trading post this round? I'm not sure. Probably, right? I got a trading post and this dwelling? Yeah, that makes sense. But the other cool thing I did is I now I have a Cult Spade coming in and know where to spend it, right? Like, I could dig G2, but I don't really need G2, and I could only make it yellow anyway. I could dig H6 and make it, what, red? Which sucks. And this is the direction my town wants to go in. So what I really should be doing is getting access to H5. The obvious way to do that is with shipping, but since I need a bridge there anyway, I put the bridge in this turn. This round. Apparently this turn also. And now my Cult Spade has somewhere to go. This is another reason, by the way, for me in this game, not to have rushed to 8 of anything. I only really had 2 digs I wanted to use early, so... Right, and I had to do this dig quickly. Dig and build all at once, because I didn't want the Darklings to step on it. I still wish the Engineers would get over here to F4, like, come on. You got the power, just go for it. But they didn't end up actually doing that. What did I do? Oh! I got so much power, I took the coin action. Very lovely. Cool. And then I upgraded. I'm still like begging the Engineers, come in, please. But they didn't do it. I had to build F3 without their company. They were working on this area instead, which seems fine, I guess. It leads to another gray space, which this doesn't. So we're ready to pass here. Which bonus tile should we take? I mean, obviously we're taking fire here, but yeah, it's my turn to act. So which bonus tile do I want here? I'm not sure. Dwelling? Or 3 power and 2 coins. Oh, right. Yeah, these both have 2 coins on them. The question is, do you want 3 power and a ship, which you seem unlikely to use? Or do you want a couple points for dwellings? I suspect I took the dwelling scoring because I planned to have one here and here and here or something, or have those soonish anyway, right? Let's look at my income, actually. I can actually not afford much more than a sanctuary. I can afford a sanctuary plus whatever I get from my town, basically, and that's about it. I guess I'll have some power. I'll have quite a lot of power if I pass and take the shipping tile. Yeah. The dwelling scoring looks like it's only worth 2 points. I might prefer 3 power. Yeah, would I pay 2 points for 3 power? Sure. Right? That's just like accepting leech. I think I would do that. So I think I would take the shipping tile here. Let's find out. Oh, I built the dwelling first. There's like a gap in the turn history here. Right? Yes. I got my dwelling in first, and that changed what bonus tiles were available. Engineers had taken the shipping bonus tile already, but I had access to the Sanctuary Stronghold scoring, which is insane. It's exactly the one I want right now. I'm short of workers, and I'm about to build a sanctuary. Gross. So, was I timing this on purpose? Was I, like, trying to get out after the engineers? I hope so. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky for them, isn't it? They kind of want a trading post, but they also don't, because they only have 1 worker income, and if they build a trading post, they'll have 0. So they'll just have 2 workers in the next round, which is not very nice. So it kind of makes sense for them to get out early, and for me to, I don't remember if I planned this. It might have just fallen into my lap, but it's very, very nice. Oh yeah, they were actually going slowly. They had to they delayed to take the worker action. Yeah. So it would have been really nice, I guess, if I could have if I could have dug this tile more slowly to guarantee that I get out after engineers, who kind of look like they'll be out of the round last. But I couldn't afford that because Darkling still could have. They still had a priest. They could dig G4. So I couldn't do it that way. But the round went great, right? I only got 1 trading post in, but that's fine. It helped bolster my coin economy, and I got like a really nice brown carpet out here to build on, and I locked in the sanctuary scoring tile. So very successful round. And even just entering round 3, I'm already at 5 fire. I'm planning to get 2 more from a favor tile, and I just, like to get as much as I can. And can you guess how much I could get? It was 10. I got all 10. Very pleased with myself. I'm clearly the first player to get a town here. The question is just like, should I do something else first? I don't remember. I have my sanctuary must cost what, 8? 8, right? Yeah. For some factions it costs 6, and for some it costs 10, but 8 is the normal one. So I really have 2 coins and 2 workers left. Also, I have enough power that I could do something with it. But cultists tend to have a lot of power generation because they're moving up the cult step all the time. And so I don't really want to burn much more than I already have. I'd like to have 8 in reserve if possible. And I'm pretty sure I in fact did not burn any power this round. So I don't know. Is there anything that's critical for me to do right now other than build a sanctuary? I don't think so. Like, these dwellings are probably good to build, but they'll wait. Sending a priest to any cult track can wait. They're all worth 2, and they'll all have plenty of spaces. Yeah. So I imagine I just grabbed the sanctuary, right? And what town tile should I take, by the way? I think the answer is fairly clear, but let's go look at all the town tiles so you can see what they are if you're not so familiar with the game. I've been like, I don't know. I'm kind of working on building a strong economy, and I could cash out, right? Take 11 points, but that'd be very, very short-sighted. Regardless of what kind of a game you're building, you typically this early want more economy, because even if your plan is to turn your economy into points, this early, you have, like, the points don't matter for so long that you would generally prefer to reinvest into more economy. So we're looking at, like, one of these resource tiles, or, you know, if shipping were important to me, I could get this, but right now it's not. I've got plenty of places to build right here. I need to start looking around for a third town location, but not yet. And the other thing is, like, this is town 6. Is really it's not always the best town tile to take, but it is typically worth at least considering in just about every scenario. It's good for points and good for income. We talked about this in a previous video. And also, as a cult-focused faction, the 2 keys are pretty important, it seems to me. I plan to win several cult tracks, and, you know, I don't want keys to be stopped. I don't want to be, like, at 10 on fire and water, but not have enough keys to take Earth 10 and the Darklings get it or whatever, right? I guess it would be fire and earth would be what I might be winning first. Fire and air, who knows? Right, so, like, this, I'm planning to get to 10 fire fairly soon, and I might not have a second town in time to get to 10 earth. Sort of the idea. And there is some risk when you take 8 cult steps as the cultist that you'll sort of cap out and, like, have to waste cult steps at the end of the game. But whatever. This is also worth, like, 2 workers eventually, right? 2 workers next turn, and then 1 worker next turn, and then 1 worker in the last round as well. That's the income it's giving me, which is not that much. But a ton of cult steps, which will be worth points in the end, and 2 keys, which will help me tactically ensure I stay ahead. So that's the town tile I got. And that rockets me up to 9 just all by itself, right? 2 for the favor, 2 for the town, and I guess not. Did I not? Oh, this is before the engineers have chosen whether to accept my cult step or accept my leech. Yeah, they chose not to. I'm offering them 5 power, which is pretty expensive. So it wouldn't be totally unreasonable for them to take it, but it's also reasonable for them to decline. And, oh, I was so excited when I saw them actually take the double dig here. They took F4, which is fine. I built my sanctuary, but they also dug G3. They're inviting me to a party. They say, please, we want to build down here. Come supply us with power, Alan. And I was like, oh my god, I would love to. So that's another reason to build the sanctuary first, is it was kind of like a misleading snapshot, because we looked here at the beginning of the round, and it's not my turn yet. My turn happened in between these 2 snapshots, right? Engineers built, and then looking at these things and this gray tile, now I'm like, gosh, should I build here now? No, that's obviously insane. I should wait for the engineers to get there and help them out with some more power. So I grabbed the town. Engineers built here obligingly, which is great, because I really have to build here next. I have nothing else to do. So they're either getting the leech and giving me a cult step, or they're giving me the leech, and they said they'll take the leech, thank you very much. And I believe that, yeah, I built E8, I8 as well. And I'm pretty much set for the round. No, I have a priest. Oh, I didn't even have to send my priest to fire this round. Send him to air, right? I don't think I did send it to air, actually. The other thing you could consider doing is earth, right? And I was kind of, at this point, like, the Darklings are really contesting me for 2 different cults. And I didn't want to... Oh, maybe I did send it to air. I don't remember. The Darklings are contesting 2 different cults. Yeah, I think I did. I was just kind of worried that I wanted to make sure I was a step ahead of them on whatever they were trying to contest, and then I could win the other cult at my leisure. Notice I'm almost at a second town now, right? Just a trading post in one of these spots, and I have another town. So I'll have plenty of keys. I just need to have my cult steps in order. And I'm not sure. The problem with committing to air is you might get stuck at 8, and then, maybe the Darklings do something like, take an air favor tile like air 1. Or I don't know, air 3 maybe. It sounds crazy. Probably air 2 would be better. I don't know. So I'm not sure exactly. Let's see what I did. Neither. Oh, I took a power action, right? I must have. No, I just passed. Sure. No need to rush in with my priest. Let's wait and see how things go. Do I need to contest air, or do I need to contest earth? And I assume there was some desirable path tile. Yeah, I got the dig. And converting 2 power before passing. Something I'm doing a lot this game, since as cultist I have a lot of power lying around, is trying to make sure that I have, amounts of power where I can comfortably leech. Here, the idea was to have one, after getting my income, have 1 power remaining, so that I would rather accept 1 leech than 3 leech, I think, at this stage in the game. It doesn't seem likely to matter. There's nowhere anyone's going to build that's going to give me more than 1 leech, but it's just sort of like good practice, I think. And like, how are the points looking? I'm not doing too badly, actually. Everyone's pretty close together. The other players have more, they have an earth favor tile that's going to help them get more points, but I have a lot more economy, right? Like 6 coins and 11 workers is pretty stonking great, isn't it? So I'm in okay shape for... Boy, Mermaids pass with 10 coins. They must really be having worker problems, huh? What have they been up to recently? Maybe they just really wanted to get the shipping bonus in time. And they got a sanctuary, okay. Oh, and by the way, can we talk about favor tiles? Why is everyone taking air 2? Like, the engineers, I get it. They took it in round 2. Air 2 is generally not that great a favor tile, right? It gives you 4 power income, which is like usually worse than things like 3 coins. So like 4 power can only be converted into 2 coins. It's more flexible, but in some ways it's also less flexible because you might have to burn power to get even those 2. And it's more flexible because you can like spend it on power actions and get even better. Like, if you could spend it, if you could guaranteed spend this on action for the 7 coins every round, it would be better than 3 coins. But you can't, and so usually it's worse. And I'm really surprised, like, I don't know. Both Air 2s that were gotten in this game surprised me for different reasons. They both share the reason that Air 2 is generally bad, but maybe in this case it's good. Fine, whatever. But engineers taking it seems questionable to me, because engineers with their humongous power income from their second temple producing 5 power instead of a priest, engineers usually have a lot of power income, and what do they need 4 more for? I'm not really sure. I get it though. They took it in round 2 to secure a dig, so they got a dig and a slightly worse than average favor tile. That's fine. Is it better or worse than a good favor tile? I don't know, but it's not insane. The Mermaids though, it just is bizarre because they got it in round 3 after the air income was over, and so round 3 is late enough that you don't usually want income favors. Like, you can take them, it's not insane, but like usually it's late enough that you'd rather not. And so I don't know what made the Mermaids A want an income favor, and B, want power. Like, I don't know, just weird. Anyway, why were we talking about this? Oh, because I noticed the mermaids had passed with so many coins, and I was trying to figure out why. And I happened to notice they had gotten air 2 right before passing. So they're kind of having a weird game, but it's reasonably close between all of us. Is it? Oh, right. I passed and took the spade, and now we're just waiting for everyone else to get to round 4. Sure. Now, I know I wrote something in my notes starting in round 4. What was going on in my notes here? Oh, this is the wrong... That's notes for the game that's still going on. Here we go. Yes, here we go. So, I am going, what, 3rd this round? And it would be nice if I could get the power action for coins. It will not... I'm going 2nd this round. I kind of was like, at first, while I was waiting for round 4 to start, I was like, you know what? I bet the mermaids don't want coins. Because they have so many more coins than workers already, right? But on somewhat closer reflection, I realized that was not really a very accurate analysis. The mermaids do want coins here. Because they have the shipping pass tile. They're planning to upgrade shipping probably twice this round. And that's already 8 coins, bringing them down to 4. And if they're going to do much of anything else, like building a temple would be nice, they're going to need some more coins. So in fact, the mermaids do want coins. This... I don't know. This kind of led me down a funny little trail. It would be easier if we could see the plan I had written out for this turn, because I had a specific, like, what am I going to do with my 11 coins and 11 workers? And what if I could have 18 coins instead? And the idea was to start going for my 2nd town soon. 3rd town, I should say. Obviously, we're building the 2nd town now. And the obvious place for a 2nd town, I don't know, there's a couple places you could go. Like, here is not the worst. And it'll have a guaranteed neighbor in the mermaids. But here is kind of more ideal because it's only 3 digs instead of 4. And it has neighbors for a greater portion of it, so it's kind of easier to build stuff. Furthermore, with the stronghold scoring round coming up, I kind of have a pretty obvious way to get 6 power worth of structures, which is 3 dwellings and 1 stronghold. And if I can delay some of those dwellings till the last round, that would be kind of nice. But I want to get going on this town soon, which means getting some shipping, as well as finishing my town and probably getting a temple. And that kind of costs a lot of coins to get like 2 shipping, and build a dwelling, and build a trading post, and build a temple, right? And so I was hoping to get the 7 coins. When that didn't happen, I thought for a while about this, and I said, you know what? I was planning to take 7 coins and then take the priest town tile, which is like, you know, you combine those, you get 9 points, 7 coins, and a priest. But you could take the priest power action and the coin town, and you have 1 extra power left over, which gets you up to 7. And so it's kind of just like you get exactly the same resources, but you get 4 fewer points. And I was like, well, it's a bummer to have 4 fewer points, but, you know, hey, at least I can still do all the stuff I wanted to do. It comes out the same in terms of resource costs. But actually, on further reflection, I realized that while it's still right for me to take the priest, I should not take the coin weird as it seems. Specifically because it's a priest income round. It's actually, I'm fairly sure, better to take the shipping scoring tile. Shipping town tile, I should say. If we compare the values of these, normally, you take the shipping tile if you like want shipping but don't have any coins or priests lying around that you can afford to spend on points. Because taking the priest tile and then buying shipping with 4 coins is kind of like buying 5 points for 4 coins compared to taking this. And often you're kind of happy to do that. Not so much in the early game, but in the mid to late game, that's a pretty reasonable trade. Especially if you didn't have anything else good to do with those coins. And if you like... And so that was kind of my original plan. If you instead take the town, the coin town, then it's like, letting you convert a priest and into, I don't know. But the point is, it turned out via the analysis I gave earlier to be like exactly 4 points worse than doing it the other way around. Than getting the priest and the coin action, which makes sense because the coin action is great. But both of them are kind of a way to turn resources into points, whereas this is a way to like have more resources but fewer points. And so often this is okay if you like are strapped for cash, but if you have some cash lying around, you should prefer to take a more higher scoring town tile and just buy the shipping the normal way. However, I think during a priest scoring round, when the priest itself is worth 2 points, 2 coins, I think you should prefer to actually take this shipping tile. I'm not really sure that like this is true in all cases. Like, for example, if you... I don't know. Can I think of any counterexamples? But I wanted the priest action, but not so I could advance shipping with it, just because like I want to invest it in the cult tracks. So that's kind of what this priest action was all about. And I guess it must have been the Darklings who built that bridge? Yeah. Okay. And what? Now I just upgrade this to a trading post? Yeah. And what town tile should I take? We just talked about it, the shipping tile. I assume that's what I did, right? Yeah. And I have enough to upgrade shipping and... Oh, what am I going to do with my dig? Oh, yes, take A5, right. So I have this dig that I need to be able to spend this turn, and I don't really, at the moment, I can't reach any spaces I want to get to. So, one thing I could do would be to get D3 and maybe like build this town with a bridge or go this way. But it's much nicer to get 2 shipping so I can build here and go for the simpler, easier town that requires fewer digs. That's why I want to get 2 shipping and still be able to build a dwelling this round. So I grabbed another temple in the temple scoring round and took, right, I took Air 1. The pass gives you points for trading posts favor. Here, so the more trading posts you have, every time you pass, you get points. I've kind of built most of the dwellings I'm going to build, although I can't take Earth 1 anyway. I guess if I could, I might. It's just so gross. Yeah, even now, Earth 1 would be worth more points than Air 1. It's just such a hugely scoring favor tile. I kind of want to prioritize Air for cult steps, but, whatever. Let's see, did something else happen? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong notes file again. So, what was I saying? Yes, I wanted to look at cults. Right, so I was still kind of trying to figure out, can I afford to get to Air 10? And if so, how do I do it? Like, if I send the priest in first, maybe they'll refuse to give me, cult steps or something. But I eventually realized that the Darklings were out of priests. Yeah, I was a little afraid to take Air 1 and then have the Darklings shut me off with a priest. So I started taking Earth. As I built Air 1, getting me to 8, and then instead of taking Air, getting me to 9, I took Earth, sort of start threatening to win this cult as well. The idea being to put a priest into Air if I can. And let's get real, I probably will be able to because, everyone but engineers are out of priests, and I don't really think that getting 2 more Air is a high priority for them right now. So I decided, you know what, forget it. I'll just put off sending my priest. It's more important for me to get this stuff, and I can take the priest whenever. So what did I do? I must have just advanced shipping here. Yeah. Oh, this... so, I kind of wrote out a... It's a little bit weird at this point to convert workers instead of power. In general, you prefer to convert power to coins instead of converting workers to coins. Because it's easy to turn, one worker is generally more valuable than 1 power. It costs you 3 power to produce a worker. Or an average of 2 power if you can get the worker power action. And I was kind of making some greedy plays here. My idea was to try to remain at this 017 number so that if someone gives me some leech, presumably the engineers, say by building a trading post here or here is what I was thinking, I would be able to accept only 1 of it and not have to pay anything. And I had planned out what I was doing with the rest of my round, and it kind of involved doing some conversion of workers to coins anyway, because I just have so many of them from the fire income. But I think it was still short-sighted, because even with that planning, I had some power left over at the end of the round that I could have used instead of workers. I was just saying, you know what, I don't need those workers in round 4 or round 5. I might as well convert them now and have my power in a more convenient situation. And in round 6, I'll have so many workers from this air income that I should be fine. And I hadn't planned out round 6 specifically. But I kind of remember something coming up where I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't have converted any workers to coins this round. Converting power was better. And in the end, in my round 6 plans involved way more workers than I thought they would. And I actually wanted more workers at the end. And there were some lines that I was going through that might happen in round 6 where I end up converting 3 power to 1 worker to make up the worker deficit. And so I think it was just too fancy and sort of short-sighted. If you're going to make a play like converting a worker to a coin instead of a power to a coin, you really should think through the consequences. And I think I didn't here. Not sufficiently anyway. And it turned out the engineers gave me leech, but they only gave me 1 anyway, so I didn't actually benefit from this. They decided instead of building a trading post to just build another dwelling here and get some more digging done on D6 as well. Seems reasonable. And now I've got all this power, I start converting it to coins, and hello? What did I do this round? Oh, I sent my priest to air. Oh, yes, of course. Here was me once again trying cheekily to stay at an odd number of total power to get back to this dream number. Sure, seems fair. There's no rush to get B2, right? So then I built B2 and I dug and built A5. And at some point during this round, a weekend went by where the Mermaids, who had mostly been playing pretty quickly, had just sort of like weren't putting in any turns, or maybe like one turn a day or something. And so I mentioned in the chat, like, hey, do you want to sync up this weekend? And we can, like, we're the only ones still active this round. I know exactly what my actions this round are gonna be. Do you want to just get together and play 3 or 4 actions, you know, quickly in a row? I imagined that I knew what the Mermaids' plans were. I assumed that they had just finished upgrading their shipping. They were going to build a few dwellings, and they had an amount of resources that was perfect for just like building a bunch of dwellings, right? Somewhere. They have a few more coins than necessary, but yeah, I imagine like, yeah, build here, build here, build here, something like that. I don't know. Build here probably. Try to get this town going. I was wrong about their plans. They built a temple and took fire too to complete the town early. But during this discussion, the Mermaids mentioned that they were like, it was like, you know, I've been traveling. I haven't had time to play, and the engineers are about to wreck me, so I really need to spend some time planning before I can make my next move. And it's like, okay, sure, that's what the clock is for. I don't want to pressure you into moving. Just wanted to make sure that you, like, if it was possible for us to move more quickly, I wanted to do it. But this made me reevaluate, like, what's going on in this game? Who's winning? I kind of was like, yeah, I'm down on points, but I have, like, a lot of cult points coming in. I expect to do quite well on network, and I have plans for a 3rd town in the next couple rounds, plus building a stronghold in the stronghold scoring round. And my stronghold ability is just like get points. Here, we'll look at that. The cultists stronghold is like 2 power income, and also when you build it, get 7 points. So I kind of was like, I saw myself as being very much in pole position to win this game. But when the Mermaids mentioned the engineers were going to wreck them, I was like, yeah, you know, I hadn't really thought about it, but yeah, the engineers do kind of want to take F2. That's the town the Mermaids would like, is this town, right? Down to here. It's a little bit awkward for them because they don't have enough neighbors to build this up, but to build up anything but this. But they can build a stronghold on E4 and dwellings here, and like bridge and Mermaid connect here, and this is a pretty normal looking town. But the engineers are threatening to take F2, and that's going to ruin everything. And you know, the Mermaids didn't say that's what the engineers were going to do. When they said the engineers are about to wreck me, I was like, oh yeah, F2, I get it. But this made me look more closely at the engineers' plans for the rest of the game, and I wish I had it lying around. I don't. But at while I was waiting for the Mermaids to come back and finish round 4, I planned out the rest of the game for the engineers and for myself. And you know, the engineers looked like they have a win to me. They're going to be able to get a stronghold here in round 5 with like a double dig on these spaces. And a stronghold here in the stronghold scoring round is going to let them start cashing in on bridges. They'll be fully connected up all the way across the map with 2 shipping, and they're going to have more structures than I do. So it looked like they were gonna have a win there, and I was like, oh, that's sad. I don't like that. They didn't end up going with exactly my plan, I think. Maybe my plan was inaccurate, I don't know. But I put together a final score for them that was higher than the final score I could put together for myself. And of course, you know, things change. You know, maybe the power actions that I planned for them weren't available or something, and that's why they didn't go that way, or I don't remember what. They did end up building a stronghold here in round 3, but they didn't do quite what I expected. I thought they might be able to get a sanctuary in round 5. I thought they might be able to get both, which is possible for them, but quite expensive. And might make, I don't know, they might have to give up on actually building F2 if they just dwelling, stronghold, sanctuary. They still have to find, like, another worker somewhere to do that with. But their priest could do it, or they could take the worker action somewhere. I don't know. They have all this power. So, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what happened. But we finished out the round. I did some digging and building. And I was trying to go slowly here, hence the... Because I thought I saw exactly how many actions the mermaids had left, and I was like, okay, if I can get out after them if I build as slowly as possible, which I really wanted to do. Because there are no scoring tiles in the pool, and the mermaids have one that's great for me, right? I'm already at 2 shipping, and I might want 3 by the end of the game anyway. I might make do with 2, right? Look at how I might connect, and there's a couple options. These are already connected. And so I just have to connect one of them to this area. So I could, like, take I7, and then either take I5 or get a 3rd ship. Or I could take E8 and either take B4 or get a 3rd ship to get to A7. And so a 3rd ship seems pretty reasonable for me in any case. And if I can get the shipping bonus tile to go with it, that's... I mean, I really, really want this. Fortunately, the mermaids... I don't know. Oh, yes, right. They should build another dwelling, and probably do. But I still have one more action to take. I'm going to send my priest to a cult. For the coin income. So that did, I assume, happen. Yeah, they built A4. Fine with me. I assume I accepted the leech? No, I declined it. Okay. I don't remember exactly. I calculated out how much power I was going to need to do everything I needed in the end of the game. That power wasn't really going to help, so I just didn't pay the point. And I sent my priest to Earth, locking that in, and now I'm very glad I took the cult town, by the way. Because otherwise I think the Darklings would eventually... They would get here in time to pass me, probably. And I did, in fact, get the shipping scoring tile from them. I'm last in points, but as you can see, my income is... Well, it's actually only a little bit better than the Darklings. But I also have a ton of endgame points in the form of the cults and a better network score than them. Also, this is not including my pass tile, right? My pass tile kind of has on it 3 power and 9 points, which improves my income quite considerably. Okay, so here we are in round 5. And, oh yes, while I was like... At some point during this round, I suddenly became sort of afraid. Have I missed something that was in my notes, by the way, since all this happened? No, okay. I didn't realize this until the middle of round 5, so we'll get to that. So my plan for this round is pretty simple, though, right? It's like... Advance ship, upgrade to stronghold, maybe send some priests, you know. The thing is, okay, let's look at what do I want to do in the last round. I want to build a bunch of dwellings, right? And even if I have 3 shipping, I'm going to be able to build 1, 2, 3 dwellings without doing any digging. So probably I should do some digging. How am I going to do it? Well, I could take power actions. But the number of digs I'd like to take is like... you know, a lot. And I have some priests flying around that I soon won't be able to do anything with, so my plan was to advance digging, rather than try to throw all the priests into the water cult in a hopeless attempt to catch the mermaids, probably. So given that my plan for round 6 digs is to advance digging, I can probably do one of those advances this round. But I kind of had it written down as like an optional action that I would prefer to pass early if it got me a really sick bonus tile, like this one, although that seems very unlikely. But even if all it gets me is first player next round, so I can take the 7 coins, I'll be pretty happy. So I have that as an optional action, but the only really like mandatory things are build a stronghold, advance ship. That's about it. I think I did those things and also advance dig. So I just advance ship, doing them in that order so that if for some reason passing looks good, I can do it and advance dig later. I advance dig, right? Yeah. And it's right about now that I realize my entire future is pinned on A6. And red is only one step away from gray, right? And look at all the resources the engineers have. They could, perhaps, do some pretty nasty stuff. But fortunately, the resources they have don't include power. So they don't have enough workers to dig this right now. Well, they do. Yeah, I mean, it's really, really sad for engineers to triple worker dig because workers are so precious to them. And so I don't think they should do this right now, but it's something that is like kind of scary for the future, right? My plan for round 6 is to advance dig for the second time and only then spend 2 workers digging A6. But the engineers might threaten to take A6 if they have 2 shipping. And in that case, I really can't afford to wait for a second advanced dig. I just have to spend 4 workers digging this instead of 2, which is a real bummer. By just advancing shipping, the engineers can cost me 2 workers. And so something that I could do if I were really concerned is like spend 2 workers now digging this to yellow to make it less desirable to engineers. But I think that that's kind of pointless because I don't know. I could stop them from taking it away from me right now. I don't know if that's their best plan. They're missing out on a stronghold, which is going to be worth like 11 points. I don't think they should do it this round. I say 11 because it's 5 here plus 6 for their 2 bridges. So I don't think they should take it now, but they maybe should advance shipping so they can threaten to take it early. And I passed and just like took the coin bonus tile. They all kind of suck for me. I don't want the dig because it's just a worker. I don't want the shipping because I already have 3. I can't take this because I just had it, so 6 coins is really the best I can do. They all suck. I would take any other bonus tile. Well, this might actually be worse. But obviously I would very much prefer bonus 6 or bonus 9. But I couldn't get them. And indeed, engineers did come in and ruin this town for the mermaids, unsurprisingly. So the mermaids compromised by trying to make this a town, which seems totally reasonable. But it cost them a fair number of digs. I guess it also cost them their 3 towns, which they probably were hoping to get. And I think several more actions happened in this round after I passed. Yeah, but I just kind of skipped over them in the replay. Okay. So here we are, beginning of round... yes, beginning of round 6. That's the other thing, is I was hoping to take... One of the reasons I talked about for wanting to pass early was to get the 7 coin power action, right? And at this point in the game, in real life, I was panicking about A6. I was like, I spent literally an hour like planning out how bad is it for engineers to take this? How much does it hurt me? How much does it hurt them? Can I afford to advance dig one more time before digging it, or do I have to dive in right now? Like, what about action 4 to get the 7 coins? Can I take that? And then I realized they still only have 1 shipping. And I was like, oh, all of this planning was stupid. They haven't even threatened to take it from me. I think they really should have. It would have been free for them last round to advance their digging last round instead of this round. I don't know. Maybe actually they passed it at a strategic time to get this bonus tile. Yeah, to stop the mermaids from getting it, they passed a little early. I see. So it's not like, I don't know, it's not free for them to have threatened A6. But I was glad they didn't. The problem is, though, that if I take the action 4 for 7 coins, then the engineers can upgrade their shipping. And then I have to march in here without having advanced my digging to ensure that I get the tile. Because they obviously have plenty of power to take a power action to build here if they want. So I can choose, basically, should I advance dig or should I take the 7 coins? Basically, the 7 coins is worth 3 coins. In addition to the 4 power, you would just get the 4 coins you would get for just converting 4 power. And advancing dig is worth 1 worker. And like on reflection, I'm not really sure I made the right choice. This is where I suddenly started regretting like my convert to workers to coins earlier. Is like so I end up taking advanced dig. That's my action. I advance dig, and the engineers don't even threaten the tile yet. So I don't know. If I had instead taken the 7 coins, would they have advanced ship to threaten it? Maybe. But if they had, I could have like double dug here for 4 workers. Oh, right. Advanced dig doesn't just give me 1 worker, it gives me 2. So it was like, would I rather have 2 workers or 3 coins? Could go either way. I chose the 2 workers, though, because I had a lot of digging to do, and I had kind of worked it out that it's going to be a bit short of workers. Yeah. Yes, that's all correct. So I think it was right to take advanced dig and give up on action 4. But an interesting choice. Anyway, so now the round kind of plays itself for me, aside from some ordering questions. And also, which tiles should I dig out to build extra dwellings on? Like, should I build I7 or E8 to connect up? E8 lets me take a cult step, but like, do cult steps really matter? Not really. The engineers could threaten to pass me, but it would be pretty hard. And maybe I don't want to give them the opportunity to leech any power. Maybe they can use that power for something. And also the question is, the main thing I was preoccupied with in this round was network size. Right now, of course, my network is small because I haven't connected these up. But I have 9, and I'm planning to get at least 11 here, and at least 12 here or here. And what about the other players? The Mermaids should be able to get 12 easily. They're at 9, and they can build like 1, 2, 3, no problem. And their issue is if they build 3 more, they're out of dwellings. So if they want a 13th structure, they have to build a trading post, which in addition to their 3 dwellings, kind of runs them out of workers. And so maybe they won't be able to come up with a 13th structure, but maybe they will. Meanwhile, the engineers are going to build like, they have 13 already, and they're going to get to like at least 15, probably 16. So there's no way I'm catching them. But the question is, should I build a 14th structure or not? It's kind of expensive because I'm in the same issue as the Mermaids, where I have to build a trading post before I can build my 14th structure. So I wanted to do all my building slowly so that if it turns out the Mermaids don't go for their 13th structure, I don't have to go for my 14th. And so I was trying to work out where can I afford to dig slowly. Not E8, because the Darklings might take it, you know, stuff like that. I'm actually going to take a quick break and be back with you guys in a minute. I mean, I know it's only a second when I'm gone, so because I edit it back together, but I figure there'll be some kind of discontinuity in the in the commentary, so I always let you know if I'm getting up for a break anyway. We were talking about like where to dig or something, right? Yeah, I mean the timing of the actions in this round was a little bit interesting, but not amazing, right? I grabbed A7 first before A6 actually. Why exactly? I don't know. I remember I was dreaming of threatening B4, but both of these accomplished that goal, right? Oh, I didn't want the Darklings to threaten to dig it or something? I don't know. I remember I was dreaming of getting to A8 for some reason, but it seems like I could take A6 first, and I don't know. As it was, the engineers finally advanced their shipping, and the Darklings built here, so I had to choose which of these to take. Obviously, I took the one that gives me a town, and I think I took the 11 points, right? Yeah. So this is actually one of the points that I was like planning around. Was what town do the Mermaids want? Because they're going to get their town before me, and probably nobody else is. And I kind of thought it's the last round. They probably want the 11 points. But I had not really thought through their plan very carefully. They were clearly losing, so it didn't matter to me that much what they were up to. I was just going to take the highest scoring town left. In fact, I rather suspected I would be left with the saddest town 5 ever printed. 8 points and one water. Already capped out the other 3. But I think that would be better than anything else at this point. I don't need more resources. I just need points. And so I was prepared to take this, even though it was going to be sad. This looks better because, like, hey, 8 power. That's 8 coins, right? And so, like, it even at just converting resources, it's better. But no, there's only 8 half power, right? So it's only 4 coins. Even this is like, if you convert the 6 coins into 2 points, you're still down a point compared to taking this. And I just couldn't see myself needing any of these resources for anything. I don't have any scoring favors that incentivize me to build more trading posts, and spending on a trading post and a dwelling just to get the 2 points. If I could get 4 points, if I had like Earth 1, yeah, that's probably worth it. But I didn't. And I wasn't going to catch engineers on network, so it really was just about like get to 14 dwellings and finish my town. And so for that, I don't need any more resources. I was prepared to take this. But for whatever reason, the Mermaids took the coin town. I'm sure it was very reasonable for them. I didn't look too deeply into it. And that left me with the points town. Hooray! So at this point, like, I'm very confident that I'm winning this game. And I'm just like trying to make sure nothing weird happens. Nobody like digs something out from under me. And in fact, I have enough, like, I have I7 and E8, so I could take either one. So even if I go for a slow dig on E8 and then someone counters me by, like, the Darklings take it or whatever, I can just change tracks and go for I7, and all it's cost me is a worker, and it's cost them their whole career, right? Not in the specific case of Darklings taking E8, but what I ended up doing at this point, I believe, was, yeah, I dug D3 but didn't build there. The idea being, like, no way Mermaids or engineers are going to invest in taking this from me. And if they do, like, whatever. It costs them more than it cost me, and I have other alternatives. So really all I was trying to do was build slowly so that I can see whether Mermaids actually do go for 13 structures or not. I guess at this point, since they took the coin town, I should say, yep, they're definitely doing it. If I had thought that far ahead, but I didn't. I was just like, whatever, I'll just build things slowly. And it wasn't that hard to do. And so I built H3. Oh, right. The other thing that was very... Oops, I hit some weird button. Okay. The other thing that was really important to me to do was not build H3 until the engineers had already built a neighborless trading post. Because they're my rival, right? They're the ones who are threatening to win. And so once they built F2, I was like, oh, okay, I'll come into H3. You want a neighbor now? And I was trying a little bit to like balance, you know, to avoid getting cult steps that don't matter and get opponents to decline my power instead so that I get plus power. I didn't do a very good job of that. I ended up like, I sent a priest to water to delay something for some reason. You know, and then I ended up not using that because I got more. I was a little bit concerned engineers might manage a temple, or well, I guess they're full on temples, a sanctuary, because they do have the sanctuary scoring tiles. They could man the sanctuary, take water to, spend a step on water, maybe send a priest to water, and like actually threaten me on water. So I was okay with taking a couple of steps on water just to discourage them. And I don't know, you know, the rest of the stuff didn't really matter. Oops, don't change the zoom levels. I did have one final cheeky thing that made me smile, though. We're coming up on the last action. I've done everything I need to do, and the engineers are about to. They want one more bridge because bridges are worth 3 points to them now, right? And I kind of feel like they should have taken the bridge with workers. They took it with power, which is like it costs 3 resources instead of 2 resources, and at this point in the game, resources are fungible, so what's the deal? The answer is it didn't really matter to them. They had, you know, the amount of resources they had was not divisible by 3, so they could afford to spend some. But I actually, just for fun here, I took the priest power action. What did it look like? I don't have that step in the oh right, yeah, so it looked to me like they should spend their workers on a bridge and then pass with their power. But, you know, just in case for some reason they wanted to buy a priest, I decided to make that more expensive for them. I knew they would never do it, but I was like, you know, I have 5 resources right now, which is worth 1 point. I'll spend 3 of them on a priest, and now I have only 3 resources, also worth 1 point. Just to take away an option from the engineers at no cost to myself, even though I couldn't imagine why they would take that option. Maybe they would have a reason, right? So I grabbed the priest action there. I guess I could have done it earlier if it would have been a more credible threat at that point. Whatever. And so I won actually by a smaller margin than I thought. I won by only 6. At some point I thought I was up by like 12, but the engineers had a pretty good last round, I think. I'm not very good at figuring out what should happen on the cult tracks. I did estimate that this was what the board would look like for them and for me, but I think they wound up ahead of some people on cult tracks when I didn't expect it, or something like that, or had more resources left. I don't know. So there you go. We won another game, and you know what? Can we say anything interesting about where my points came from? It's hard to tell exactly, like, what we've talked before about how Earth 1 is really popular. I mean, it's popular at every level of play, although probably not absolute beginners because they don't know it's good yet. But especially like for intermediate players, because, you know, like me, because you look at your score, right, and you see that Earth 1 was worth as many points as anything else that happened to you that game, right? Engineers, 28 points, unbelievably gross Earth 1, right? And you say, well, if I miss Earth 1, I'm going to be down 28 points. How can I afford that? But of course, when you don't take Earth 1, you get more of everything else. How much more? Is it worth not taking Earth 1? You know, it's hard to say sometimes. But like the other scoring favors really do not add up. Sorry. do not add up would mean they're wrong somehow. I mean, they do not stack up. They are not as good. You look, I got Air 1 in round 3 and got 9 points out of it, and that's a pretty reasonable amount for Air 1. If I'd gotten in like round 2, I could have gotten 11 or something. But of course, then I would have had to build the temple earlier and have fewer coins. You know, so, but I don't know. I think I did a good job of like getting points from other places. Mostly, of course, the cults. I did get, you know, the cultist classic of like 28 cult points. And a lot of this stuff I wouldn't be able to get without Earth if I had invested in Earth 1 instead. But it's hard to tell how much of it, right? I don't know. I don't think I'd have 12 network points. That's for sure. You know, probably would have trouble coming up with 3 towns. So I don't know. I think I was right to not rush out Earth 1, take Earth 2 instead. And I did a fairly okay job of leveraging my economy, right? Like the number of points I got from the scoring track was not immense, but it was 27, right? 10, 10, 4, 3. And we look at the other players, and you know, these guys got 17. Darklings got 21. Whew. Mermaids also got 27, the very same 27 I did. That's nice. But they couldn't get there on network, and got less on towns, and I think I managed more on pass tiles, right? Maybe not a ton more, maybe less actually. I got 13 and they got like 15. Oh, they got 20. They got 20 on pass tiles. Oh, they got bonus 9, which I never got. That's true. So I don't know. You know, I got my advanced dig. It's sort of hard to tell where it all came from. Do the accounting backwards. But I think I did a good job of leveraging my economy to get points. And that's all you can really ask for. Let's go look at. I'm gonna open this in another window just in case it reveals. I don't think it reveals how the other game's going. No, it doesn't. Okay. Here you go. Wait. Here you go. So I remember in the last video I talked about who I thought was the threat, and I said Dr. Mario JB was a threat because at the time I recorded that video, that was while I believed Engineers were winning the game that we just finished looking at, right? Engineers with Dr. Mario JB. I thought this was the game where Dr. JB was coming first, Dr. Mario was coming first, and I was coming second. So I'm no longer too concerned about Dr. Mario JB. And in fact, my 4th game is going to finish in a day or two, I think. And so I don't want to reveal necessarily what's happening in. Well, you know what we can do. Let me take this away again. I can't let you guys keep looking at this because I gotta look at. So if where am I? Here we go. I'll just bring you back both of these tabs. How do I? There we go. Ah! Don't look. That game's not over, so I don't know. Looking at what the scores are like in round 6 maybe won't be that instructive. The scores look, I think, pretty close. But of course, just looking at the numbers won't tell you because a lot of points get scored in the last round. So okay, it wasn't a disaster. Here, I'll even show you. You can look. Here you go. So there's only 2 games left. My game here, where I'm Darklings, and I look competitive, but you don't know how much endgame scoring I have. So there. Likewise, the other players, or even how much more building we have left to do in this round. So there. And the other game going on is one in which Seb FFT is kind of a threat, right? If I come first in my last game, I'm untouchable, right? I'll have 21 points and nobody else is getting there. Because Eljaz is also in that game, and if I get first, that means Eljaz isn't getting. Actually, even if Eljaz could tie, even if we could both get first, like, there's no way Eljaz is getting more points than me if I come first. If I come second and Eljaz comes first, I'll be in very bad shape. Because then Eljaz will have. We'll both have 18 points exactly, but the tournament rules for tiebreakers are the first tiebreaker after number of points is number of first place finishes. So a first and a fourth is better than 2 seconds. And so I would lose the tiebreaker to Eljaz in that case. So it's really important to me that that Eljaz doesn't come first in that game. Because if so, I will not advance. And depending on how Seb FFT's other game goes, that might also be a threat, right? If Seb FFT can come first, and I come third or worse in this game, in my remaining game, then Seb FFT will have 18 and I'll have less than 18. But if Seb FFT goes first and I get second, I'm actually also fine? Wait, is that true? No. I'll lose on the same tiebreaker that I would to Eljaz. Right. So I can't afford for Eljaz to go first, and I can't afford for Seb FFT to go first. So it's really quite important what's going on in this game. As well, of course, as my last game. And I'm pretty sure in this game that Seb FFT, who's playing Halflings, is not going to come first. I mathed it out. I came up with plausible turns for everybody. Maybe not necessarily the absolute best turns. Where do I have my notes? Are they here? Oh, they're in a different. Okay. I took notes about the game we're looking at, but I had to do it in a different game because I don't know in this one. I estimated at some point. After this turn, I planned out actions for the last round for everybody. And my conclusion was that Darklings would win with about 133. Darklings are in a really nice spot here. They have the trading post scoring bonus, trading post scoring tile, and it's a trading post round. And they need to build trading posts to finish their town. So they started this round with 0 trading posts, and they're going to end it with 4, I'm pretty sure, which is disgusting. So that's why I think they're going to land first, with about 133 points. I expect Mermaids and Halflings to be very close for second. Halflings are going to finish this town and I think take the shipping town to connect up and just get a few points ahead of the Darklings. It's not much, but I think if they try to take anything else, like they're almost out of resources, as you can see. If they try to take anything else, they won't really get anywhere. And they also have the shipping bonus tile. So I think that's pretty much their last action, other than sending the priest somewhere. It's like build E1, take a town. They have fire too. And they want specifically the shipping town. Mermaids were a little bit more complicated. I think they chose a town since I estimated their score, and I don't think I guessed they would take this one, although it looks fine in hindsight. And I think Orin are coming in last with around 120. So my hope is that Seb FFT comes second or third here. In which case, all I have to do is beat Eljaz in that other game. And I won't tell you whether that looks likely or not. But it would be nice not to have to beat both Eljaz and Seb FFT. And that kind of depends on how this game wraps up. So there you go. Anyway, and like I said, my game is close to finished. Should be just a couple days at most. I only have one more action to take before passing, and I think Eljaz also has one more, maybe no more actions to take. And anyway, so we should be through pretty quick. And I imagine I'll have that video for you probably by the end of the week. So look forward to that. Anyway, until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.